Hey friends, welcome to the Thins and Bagels podcast. The Australian Open starts tomorrow, like regardless of where you are. If you're in Australia, that's great for you. Go have a crack at it and just watch the Australian Open. It's one of my dreams to go to Melbourne and actually watch it. I haven't been to a single Grand Slam yet, but like I feel like in my bucket list, I would say probably Australian Open is top priority, even more than Wimbledon. But we're not here to talk about that. As the Australian Open starts tomorrow, the draws have come out on Thursday morning. If you're, well, at some point between Wednesday and Thursday, depending on where you are in the world. And Vansh has already recorded the WTA draw preview with Miles David from Tuned Into Tennis. You can find him on Twitter as well. We're going to leave his tweet also in the description of this episode, so you can follow him. And also go watch this episode, by the way. It's really good, and it's also in the description of this episode. So without further ado as well, we are going to review the ATP draw today. And Vansh is here again. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, Andre. Yeah, I'm excited about this major. Recorded the WTA pod yesterday with Miles. He was a great guest. This is that time of the year where we sheepishly make our predictions for good or bad. But regardless, it's just fun. It's like half the fun, whether you get it right, get it wrong. It's fantastic. I love doing this exercise, and it's the happiest time for a reason. I mean, all the best players in the world besides Alcaraz are in this draw, and it should be a really good one.
Yeah. And just before I jump in, just in case I said Miles Davis, it's Miles David. So if I did say that, I don't remember. It's Miles David. So, yeah. And back to the Alcaraz part, I was actually just looking at the draw, and honestly, I feel like if Alcaraz was playing, this draw would be so much different. Like things would have been so much more different for. It could have been so much more difficult for Nadal, Tsitsipas as well. Ruud could have struggled a bit more as well. The fact that Alcaraz is out is actually makes the draw more balanced for some reason. I find,
and also Djokovic was seeded fifth, and now he's fourth. So
and now he doesn't get to maybe like play Nadal in a quarterfinal, which would have been the case if he was seeded fifth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, him and Alcaraz in the quarterfinal would have been, you would have been hoping that would have been a semi at least, right? So this is good, I guess. One less player for the rest of the field to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as this draw, I really like it. I don't think it's the most balanced for sure. I think the top half is a lot more heavy. I mean, you have Nadal, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, other dangerous contenders. I mean, Tiafoe just made the U.S. Open semis.
Yeah.
You have Sinner in there. You have Felix. A bunch of the loaded names are in the top half, and the Djokovic section is definitely a bit lighter for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially his early rounds, he'll be glad with the draw that he had. He can sort of work his way into the tournament. But I guess we can sort of start with the first section. Right away, the first match is a match I'm super excited about between Nadal and Draper. What are sort of your thoughts on this one? Because Draper has obviously been playing exceptionally well, one of the dangerous opponents, unseeded players that Nadal could have possibly faced. Nadal obviously, been losing a lot more in the second half of last year and also the first couple of matches this year. I don't think his level is drastically poor, but he just hasn't had the match wins and the confidence going. But I think this is going to be fascinating with Draper going really far deep in Adelaide this week and the quick turnaround. I think Rafa will be glad that this is best of 5 sets. If it's in the heat, which it likely will be because it's in the day, and he has the physicality advantage as well. But nonetheless, it's a very tricky match. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, Draper is a left-handed tall guy with like a big serve and big forehand, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is the type of guy that Nadal doesn't necessarily always like to play. So if things are working for him, Nadal pretty much likes to play just about anybody. But I think that being a left-handed, like with a heavy game, I think Draper could cause trouble. But I do see Nadal like coming through in 4 sets in this one, if not straight, depending on how he's feeling. I feel like they might same old trade first and second set. But I think that I don't think it's gonna go like too far deep into this, but it will be good for Nadal to like get that practice and just starting off with somebody who can like push him to like play a good game. It's better than just kind of finding somebody who's just missing a lot of balls all the time. Of course, like Draper could come out and play a terrible game, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think
Yeah.
when you come out like on center court against the defending champion Rafael Nadal, there's barely anything to lose for you to be like feeling too much pressure about like winning this match. So I feel like he's probably going to feel pumped about it. So he's obviously don't want to lose. So I think I can
Yeah, he'll have to be
expect that.
sharp. He'll
Yeah,
have to be sharp right off the bat.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, Draper is also pretty patient from the baseline. I watched him play actually at Queens. His backhand is very solid as well.
yeah,
Pretty complete. Like he shot up the rankings quite big last year,
yeah,
and the year before that, and he's very close to being seeded. But right, there's no working his way into this tournament this time. So I think Nadal is very aware of the task, and he knows that he's improved at least
yeah,
his level and his reps since the United Cup. So this is going to be fascinating for sure. And then obviously it doesn't get any easier. I mean, he's got potentially Brandon Nakashima. Obviously, he won the Next Gen Finals, won his first title last year. I'm a big fan of his, being from San Diego, and I happen to know him also a little bit personally. But if he faces off against Nadal, that's also going to be tricky for Nadal. I think a two-handed backhand who can take the ball early on the rise and
yeah,
rush the Nadal forehand, especially on the cross court, and take it down the line. His backhand is exceptional. And also, McDonald as well. They should have a good match there. But I'm definitely picking Nadal still to get to the first two rounds, just purely based on his experience, willpower. Also, just I feel like his level will just pick up as the tournament goes on. But
yeah,
it's not an easy draw. It doesn't get any easier. I think actually his third round, potentially against Nishioka, is maybe a good seed that he would have wanted.
yeah. I
It's
feel
not,
like with,
not an overwhelming
yeah,
weapon.
yeah. I think with Nadal is becoming consistently more difficult to predict like what's going to happen to him in the tournament. Normally, I would probably just say that he's going to reach the semifinals at least, regardless, and probably would lose a set or two here and there, like maybe three. But now I still feel like he could make it to like semis, maybe even a final. The one thing is just like now I just really want to see him like a match at a time. Like it's every match could be a different story for him. If he gets into like another like a bunch of slugfest and like loses, like wins a couple in four and maybe a 1-5 setter before the quarterfinals, I think it could get rough for him. I am mostly I see Nakashima being like trouble, but I feel like he still doesn't. Well, he might prove me wrong, but I feel like Nadal is too experienced, too good, too intelligent now to be troubled by Nakashima for a in a 5-setter match.
I feel the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking mostly at Tiafoe in this section of the draw because
Yeah.
I feel like he could be very energetic and he's very physical as well. He could make this match hell for Nadal if he's playing like really well. Just
Yeah.
like remembering what he did to Alcaraz in the U.S. Open last year, it's like I couldn't even believe that match went to 5 sets, but he did.
Yeah. And also beat Nadal,
Yeah,
in 4 sets in the fourth round. Granted, Nadal had some concerns with his ab injury, but nonetheless, he played
yeah,
an amazing match, the most key landmark win of his career so far. So if he can keep that up and live up to his seeding, that would be great too. I mean, him and Khachanov in the third round could be exciting as well. Khachanov and him have played a couple of times in majors, and I always thought Tiafoe was going to win those two because I still think he has the higher ceiling for
yeah,
sure. But Khachanov paces himself very well in best of five, and
yeah,
Tiafoe sometimes can dip a little bit in focus. But I think with this kind of a crowd, with the type of energy that he plays with,
true.
and some of the improvements in his forehand, I think as well, and also how big he serves. These courts are fast, by the way. Like they use the
Hmm.
AO Dunlop balls, and they're usually pretty light, and it's going to reward like first strike tennis and big hitting. And Tiafoe has really improved in those departments.
Yeah,
Khachanov can sometimes get a little too passive, stay behind the baseline. But
yeah,
I'm curious by this, but by this quarter. But I still have Nadal and Tiafoe ultimately coming through.
yeah. I feel like if somehow Khachanov ends up facing, well, and definitely we're just still picking just Nadal to reach the fourth round at the fourth round of this section, but suppose that Nadal makes it and he plays Khachanov, I see some of the same old like maybe a 4-setter.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going the way of Khachanov. I feel like Nadal is too he's too good at like taking his chances when they show to him. But
yeah,
Khachanov is not really that kind of guy. He,
yeah,
as I said, like sometimes he can get too passive. He has a bit of the same trouble as like same problem as Dimitrov in my opinion. Sometimes it's doesn't necessarily pick the best shots in the occasion. Sometimes it just the opportunity just presents itself right in front of his face, and sometimes he just keeps rallying. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's a bit of like what Tiafoe has. Tiafoe can be a little too much, like he can pull the trigger a little too soon at times, but I feel like he's gotten a lot better at his game since like 2 years ago. So I feel like Tiafoe
Yeah.
Nadal is a fourth round for me, and I'd say Nadal goes
Yeah,
through.
I always worry about Hachinov, just his ceiling. I mean, he's lost his last 22 matches against top 10 players. So the last time he beat a top 10 guy was July 2019. Been a long time now.
Yeah,
And he hasn't won a title since that Paris Masters. And I know he made like the US Open semis last year. He was in the finals of the Olympics, won the silver medal. He made a Wimbledon quarterfinal as well. So he tends to do better in these best of five tournaments. But I kind of agree with you. Like,
mm-hmm.
I if him and Tiafoe play, I feel like Tiafoe can definitely hit a higher gear.
Yeah.
So and as far as first round matches in this one, really Nadal Draper is what I have my eye on. Nakashima McDonald maybe as well. I think that, there's like Ymer and Nishioka. Those two guys are real grinders. They could play for 4 or 5 hours against each other.
I could see that one going 5 sets.
Yeah, for sure. But even the section below that, I mean, we have to talk about Medvedev because Medvedev, obviously quite the arc for him last year, right? Coming so close in the final, not being able to get it done. And then also, I think, in my opinion, he has a even harder draw. I mean, you look at his section. I mean, also he has Hurkacz in there, and him and Hurkacz, the head-to-head has not been kind for Medvedev. He's lost, I think it's 3-2 for Hubie, and one of them came at Wimbledon, another one on grass, another one in Miami last year.
Yeah. And he has to get through. He has to get through Korda as well. Like he wants to go to Hubie.
Korda is the match that I'm kind of circling, and even like a Huesler, I could see that being dangerous. He's like a fast serve and volleyer lefty, on this court, and he won a title last year. He beat Rune in the final.
Yeah.
I know it was indoors, but he's slowly, like he's in the top 50 now, and he's kind of one of those lesser talked about Swiss players. But Korda is really the one that I want to see. Him and Korda. I still have a few questions about Korda physically. Sometimes maybe Medvedev's, rally tolerance and his ability to cover the court, it might just cause Korda to press a little bit too soon. Maybe would like his chances a little better if it was best of 3 for sure. I mean, we saw how well he played to start the year, Korda.
Yeah.
Nearly beat Novak, but it's still going to be really, really fascinating because Korda has some of those tools in net game to rush Medvedev sometimes, and particularly because he hits the ball, he can also match him backhand to backhand, which I think is going to be very key. It's going to be a similar type of thing to the Djokovic one, in a way. So I really hope we get that match, him and Korda, and you also have Shapo in there and Hurkacz. Hurkacz is the highest seed, but he's never been past the second round of a hardcourt slam, which sounds crazy because he made a Wimbledon semi and he's done so well in Masters 1000s, but he always just has these roadblocks in second round. I remember last year he lost to Vashka, second round of the US Open. He lost to Manarino really handily in the second round of Australian Open. The year before that, he lost to Seppi, who's pretty much like basically retired now.
Yeah.
So those are some shocking losses. I worry about Sonego for him in the second round.
Yeah, that's true. Somehow, for some reason, I just completely missed Sonego in that one. Yeah. But I think it could definitely be trouble. Get through
that, even Shapo, like, that's kind of a 50-50, like him and Shapo. I could see that going kind of either way.
I think Shapo is always like the wild card in the sense like his ceiling is extremely high, and he can best of 5. He can kind of has more time to be able to get over maybe a bad set or a bad game, and he can kind of like what he did to Nadal last year, like where he ended up going over to 5 sets, and just a bad service game just kind of cost him the match pretty much. But and back to Medvedev a little bit. I feel like Medvedev is like a player that I don't even want to like comment on in a sense, just because I don't know what his level is at now. Like he plays a really good match here, and then he goes for like a bad match next. I don't know where he's at the moment. He kind of he lost to Djokovic, which is just like 2 weeks ago, which is it's fine. It's like it's Djokovic, so we can always take that with a grain of salt, like regarding his level.
I think he still has some lingering scar tissue from last year's final.
Yeah, same.
Obviously, you have the hernia thing. He wasn't able to play Wimbledon. but I really think it's last year's match above everything else
Yeah.
that's still like I don't know even if in this short off season he's been able to really iron some of that out. And he's
Yeah.
coming back to this court where he had those. I mean, that's a tough final to lose
Yeah.
that he lost, but
Yeah. I do feel
nonetheless, I
like he has
think he
some
can.
closure to find in Australia this year, even if he doesn't win the title, which I don't think he will. But I feel like he can, if he can like put his mind into it, like we're back at ground zero in a sense, so he can just
Yeah.
kind of
Plus,
forget
this
about
guy
his
is
ranking,
also
forget about his
is
shortcomings,
darn
and
good. I
make
mean,
it
his
through. Yeah.
floor is Medvedev's floor is still one of the highest. He hasn't lost before the second week of a hard court slam since 2018. So it's
Yeah.
it's been like consistently the last 8 slams he's done round of 16 or
Yeah.
better. And I still expect more of the same here. I mean, I still, even though as much as I see Korda as kind of dangerous, I don't see him beating Daniil.
Yeah.
So I still have Medvedev coming
Yeah.
through, and I think I'm picking Shapo in my section, just because I think,
Me
yeah, I
too.
mean, Shapo has quarterfinal points to defend. I also kind of like the way he's been playing, a little bit
Hmm.
more consistent since the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah.
These courts should suit him, and best of five I think also helps him out a little bit because if he plays one or two, bad sets, I still think he can find his range, gives him more time. And some of these opponents are not super threatening. Escobedo or Daniel, that's a good second round. First round is very winnable. Second round, he may not get Hurkacz. So I kind of like I kind of like him to get through to the fourth. And then if he plays Medvedev, yeah, I think Medvedev is more or less comfortable in that match, but they've had some good ones too.
Yeah.
I'm still leaning Medvedev to get out. But
Yeah.
if Medvedev plays Hurkacz in the fourth round, then I think we could have some serious questions.
That's true. Yeah. If Hurkacz can make it through and beats Chappell, I think we could still see like a good match between Medvedev. So I'm
Yeah,
still going to like give like a I have some faith in Medvedev for now, and just I'll pick him to get through to the quarters as well.
mm,
And I always want to believe that Hurkacz is going to make it, but I do think that Chapo is going to make it to the fourth as well. And I think we might see a five-setter between him and Medvedev.
yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And maybe it's good for Medvedev as well. He comes out through that like as the winner. So
Yeah, I wonder how Nadal will look after those first 3 rounds. Let's say the Draper goes 4-5, Nakashima goes 4-5. His third round, maybe he's more comfortable in that one. And the fourth round, I could easily see that being a night match on Rod Laver Arena, Tiafoe and Nadal. I mean,
oh
that's
yeah,
blockbuster.
absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely most likely going to be a match of the night.
Yeah. But I'd be surprised if Tiafoe pulled it off twice in a row. I mean, history just says that it's really hard to do that against one of the big three, but
Yeah. We'll see.
uh,
We'll have to see how Nadal's doing as well. Like that's
yeah,
like a bit like what I'm feeling is like
I'm
I really
gonna
just want to
still
see
put
what
him
Nadal
through.
is gonna look like.
I'm gonna put him through just because, yeah, I mean, I can never just count this guy out. He
Yeah,
just,
me too.
even last year, and he just always sets expectations so low, and he talks the same way no matter who the opponent is. So with that kind of mindset, I just think he's so
Yeah,
singular focused in that way. So,
I feel like
but I still have him.
yeah, I feel like Nadal sets the expectations low in a way that like he never really wants to say how he is feeling about a tournament. Like there was one tournament I think last year, Roland Garros, where he said like I want to win. But like
Yeah,
before that, I don't remember a single tournament when Nadal like came in. Maybe probably like Wimbledon, before he did it for the first time.
yeah,
But like that's over a decade ago. So like I feel like
yeah,
Nadal always just say those things so that like we keep guessing and don't just like be like, oh, Nadal is just gonna win anyway. So just there's always like this little doubt in your mind, like you're just second
yeah.
guessing, but like is he really healthy? Is he really like playing all that well
I know,
still?
so
And
true.
like he comes out and we just kind of have
I mean, just
to
think the kind of conversations we
yeah,
were having last year, right? Like
yeah,
6 months off, he gets COVID, he has the foot problem. He wins Melbourne 250, but he plays pretty much no one very good to win it. I mean, no one inside the top like 90.
yeah,
And and then you're thinking, oh, like, Medvedev is a favorite. There's Zverev, there's all these really good players, even though Djokovic isn't playing. And then
yeah,
he just sort of takes it one match at a time, and the next thing you know, he's in the final and he's just beaten Berrettini and he's won
yeah,
that five
yeah,
setter. It's like, yeah, um,
yeah. To
they
be
just
yeah.
yeah,
And last year's final is so weird. And like Nadal as well, like I remember watching because I stood up I stood up late to watch it. So I remember watching it and thinking, I really want to. I think this match is gonna be an epic. But then like Medvedev started playing well, and I was like, oh, okay, like I might just be in for like another hour.
Yeah.
And to Nadal's credit, and Medvedev was very much the favorite to win that final, and we all know what happened. And Nadal's just kind of pulled out a great escape. It was just,
Yeah.
it's kind
It
of
was
like
one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
it was
There's no
just
question.
ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
nobody would expect anything like that, like midway through that match, like impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ridiculous. But I think yeah, this next section is interesting with Tsitsipas in there. Tsitsipas looked good at the United Cup. Always plays decently well in Australia, apart from 2020 where he lost to Raonic in the third round. But his first round opponent does kind of worry me a little bit. I mean, I still back experience and best of five to prevail, but Hallis is a big server.
yeah,
He played Djokovic like a top 10 player not too long ago in Adelaide, and he's picked up some good wins but last week as well. He's not one to be underestimated in the sense like he's like one of those dangerous dark horse, like unseeded, like super big server. And I always look out for big servers against Stefanos on a fast court. Just like how is he going to handle like getting the return back in play and then getting himself the first, the forehand that he wants and coming forward. And will he be able to protect his backhand enough if it's getting rushed by pace? So and then also where's his mindset at after he lost in the first round of the U.S. Open, and number one was on his mind, and he just played a pretty much inexplicable match to lose that one. So I just wonder, because if he gets through his first round, I really like his draw, like I really do. Like his second round is like I can see him winning. His third round, I see him winning.
yeah,
The fourth round against Sinner. Sinner has some injury question marks in last year, and he has a very good head-to-head against Sinner. It's like 4-1 in his
yeah,
favor. He beat him twice last year, including a rout in straight sets in the quarters of the Australian. So if he can get through the Hallis match and just get into the tournament and have that win, I mean, he is looking good
yeah.
for
You
me
don't
to go
see
for.
Musetti being difficult for him in any
Yeah,
way?
to some degree, but I mean, not so much. Not on a fast hard court. I think
Yeah,
maybe on a clay court. They played each other in the first round of Roland Garros last year. That was a two sets to love comeback from Steph. But and Musetti has definitely made improvements, and he was played better in indoors. He made the third round of the U.S. Open, but I don't see him as enough of a threat right now. He also has some tricky opponents in Lloyd Harris and Fuchsovic and potentially
yeah,
Sinner. I still see Sinner as the favorite if they play each other.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, for me, it's a difficult pick for me, but like I would say Sinner as well. Like I think maybe during the off season he might have like recovered and worked hard on like his body, so like it can be injury free, at least for this Australian Open. So we'll see what happens. And in a Tsitsipas Sinner match, it depends. I think the way
Yeah.
Tsitsipas has been lately, and the way Sinner has improved. I'm even like willing to pick Sinner as well. Sinner to make it to the quarterfinals. Like I do think that Tsitsipas makes it over
Okay.
to the fourth round, but I think we can see an upset in Sinner.
Nice. So you're going with Sinner?
Yeah, I'm going to Sinner.
All right, I'll go with Tsitsipas. And then in the fourth section, I mean, this gets interesting because Felix's section. I mean, Felix has only played one match this year. That was a loss to Popperin, who played amazing. I watched some of that match.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, right away, I'll ask you, how do you feel about Pospisil, Felix, first round Canadians?
Pospisil has done like good progress. Like he had a few injuries last year, but he's finally back to the top 100, which is on the back of like two challenger titles. But I mean, they both know each other's game really well, and they sort of play similar in a sense. But
Mhm.
Felix is just essentially better in every department.
Yeah,
Maybe I'd say Pospisil could be better at the net, but
yeah.
I think
Were some of the folks disappointed when they saw that draw, like in Tennis Canada?
100%
Oh,
we hated it.
I could see that. I bet. Yeah, I
Yeah,
could see that. So
it's like we have three Canadians in the draw, and somehow they end up playing two of them play in the first round. Like what the heck?
no, but I
So
think yeah. I mean, Felix will have to manage himself and his like. I don't worry too much about Felix's best because I know his best is like up there with the very
yeah,
best. It's just if he has a bad patch, a bad
yeah,
spell, like can he weather it? I do think he's better equipped now than let's say he
yeah,
was at the U.S. Open. for sure, because winning all those titles, winning the Davis Cup for his country, and that first round loss, I kind of just threw out a little bit because that was 2 weeks ago, and I still think he's going to be in good shape. That Stan Mochan match is interesting. So we could have Wawrinka versus Felix potentially,
Yeah.
even though Wawrinka has struggled against lefties lately in majors. But yeah, another first round and obviously Cameron Norrie has been playing amazing.
Yeah.
Won like 6 matches in a row, but then surprisingly lost a final yesterday to Richard Gasquet from 4-1 up in the third set. I did not see that one coming because, I mean, Gasquet I thought was much further past his prime. I mean, he still has some really good tennis and he still plays occasionally well. Last year he beat Medvedev, had some good wins, but I did not see Norrie losing that for sure. I thought he was heavy favorite. So nonetheless, I think Norrie is just so steady, and his first 3 rounds, really, at least the first 2 rounds look pretty tidy to me. So
yeah, I think FA, like I might be riding on recency bias a bit, but like I feel like last year the way he's played leads me to believe that he can find solutions a lot quicker on court. He can stay calm and he doesn't like default to like ball bashing and inside out forehand all the time, and he can find a lot better answers on his serve. So I think I don't see Felix getting out before the fourth round in this one. If somehow Pospisil plays amazing, I think Pospisil and Wawrinka would probably be the biggest challenges he could face. I don't see them being the ones who are going to upset Felix. I might be wrong, obviously, but I do think Felix is going to go over to the fourth round. And I'm struggling between Coric and Norrie right now. Like, I think Coric can be extremely tricky, and he played fantastic against Tsitsipas during the United Cup. I think he won that match, didn't he?
No, actually he didn't. He was 4-1 up in the third, and
yeah, he did not. But he was.
But he generally has a good head-to-head against Tsitsipas, and that's a nightmare matchup usually for Steph.
Yeah, but I think.
But he also has Lehechka in the first round, and Lehechka is one of those guys to watch. He made the next gen finals final, and he beat. I know Zverev is still coming back from injury, but he beat him handily in the United Cup, and he played well from what I saw there, and he's like just an upcoming player, like hits super flat and hard off both wings, really good ball striker, pretty decent serve, and sometimes George hasn't always performed super well in majors, at least not so far.
Yeah.
Apart from one U.S. Open quarterfinal, so I wonder if maybe we'll get an upset, but I could also see Coric and Norrie like having a really good battle in the third round. And
sure. Just because Norrie actually made it didn't he make it to the semis last year at Wimbledon?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Semis of Wimbledon, so he made it.
It's a fast score. He's been playing well. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Norrie as well. Though I do feel like it's going to be, if I would say, I would want to see maybe a 5-set between him and Coric, but I think it's like 4 or 5 between them. And I would say Felix makes it to the fourth round, and I think he beats Norrie as well. He has a good head-to-head against him as well. So I think he beat him like 2 or 3 times out of 3 or 4.
3 times out of 4, I think. And
3 times out of 4, yeah.
He lost to him in Los Cabos.
Yeah.
In the semis.
And he was a 3-setter as well, which was pretty tough.
Yeah. I'm kind of struggling to pick. I mean, I will say just because Norrie might be fatigued by then. I mean, he played a long week this week, but Norrie doesn't get fatigued. That's the thing about him. He's got amazing lung capacity.
Machine.
Like, he's just he could run for days. He's like, he never gets tired. Like, I haven't seen him physically ever tired.
Yeah,
this is not his thing. So I do wonder. I mean, him against Felix, but if Felix just comes out playing amazingly big, boom, serve, forehand, and just. Imagine if it's in indoor conditions. I guess, Felix, I mean, if some of these matches are indoors, if we get a lot of rain or something in Melbourne, he will be quite pleased, I think.
Yeah.
With how well he's been playing indoors.
Yeah, if it's indoors, I would definitely have to back Felix. So he might want to hope for some rain.
But I'll put it this way, like I have Tsitsipas in the quarters, and I have a feeling like if it's Norrie, I think I still like Tsitsipas's chances, even though it's a lefty. But if it's Felix on this kind of a fast court, then I might start leaning Felix.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Felix semifinals against Nadal on this one. Felix beats Sinner.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And just for the purposes of us being different, I'm gonna go for something else. I'm gonna say just because some of these matches are like Nori. I'm gonna say Nori gets to the quarters. Tsitsipas beats Nori. Tsitsipas is in the semis.
Hmm. We can pick
Um,
our finalists later on.
yeah. I actually, I know what my final is, but I'll save it. Uh,
Nice.
but yeah, that's the top half of the draw. So I got, Nadal Medvedev one quarter, and then I got Tsitsipas Nori in the other. I think you have Sinner, you have
I
Sinner
have
in yours.
Nadal and who was it on the other
You have
half?
Nadal Medvedev too,
Yeah,
right?
Nadal Medvedev and Felix
Felix Sinner.
Sinner. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Give another heartbreak for Sinner, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's come close. Had match point against Alcaraz at the US Open, match of the year.
Alcaraz should not have won that match.
It's insane. I
Yeah,
mean, actually, Alcaraz should have probably won the second set, and he
that's
should
true.
have won the third. So it's like, to be honest,
Yeah,
like I don't, like that match, like I don't think either of them choked. It was like just fantastic, like all five sets.
you just like
That
you
was just
peak in the right
exceptional.
moments and clutch.
Yeah, like Alcaraz played that match point really well. Like he played a good percentage point there.
Yeah,
I
but
would say,
that was one of the no, never mind. There was like one of the forehands that that Alcaraz played, and I think the third or second set that he hit into
oh,
the net or out. It was
yeah,
ridiculous.
after a ridiculous get, like he
Yeah,
missed the easiest shot,
that
and that
was
would have been
a
two sets to love.
that shot would have defined the match for so many players.
Yeah, but then I'm kind of glad now in hindsight he missed it because we wouldn't have gotten that amazing epic.
Yeah,
So,
true.
uh, but here's another popcorn first round, right? Bottom half, Rublev team.
Yeah,
Disappointing for team fans, obviously.
yeah,
Have such a solid top eight player in the first round. Also, Rublev, I think in general has been tough for team, even when he was healthy. I
yeah,
just think Rublev takes the ball so early off of both wings, and he can rush team a little bit on a fast court. I mean, they haven't yet played in best of five, so that's the other tricky thing. I still think team can make this very competitive. I definitely think he
yeah.
can win a set, maybe even two.
Mm,
But I just don't think he's ready. Like maybe come by the French Open if team stays healthy.
yeah.
I can see him winning matches like this, but maybe right now is just a little too soon. So I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say Rublev gets through.
Yeah, same here. I think Rublev's forehand right now is better than
Then
teams.
teams, yeah, I
I
would
think
say so.
overall, if like teams like peak team level is, I think he's better pretty much everywhere in the game.
Yes.
But I think Rublev's forehand is going to make team's forehand like pay a little bit, and I think this is going to call the match a little bit. Like if he gets into those cross court forehand rallies, which Rublev loves. I think it's going in Rublev's way as well. I think 3 or 4 sets.
Hmm. Yeah, I see this being kind of like the PCB match team played at the US Open, to be honest. I see it being like, yeah, tight four sets.
Yeah,
I'll say, yeah, and then Rublev, I don't think his draw is super easy. Like he has, no, it's definitely not. I mean, Dan Evans in the third round is even him fits. Like that's like a 3-3 head to head. Every time they play, it's like it's 50-50
yeah,
because Evans has the slice. He can get it out of Rublev's comfort, contact point, and he can just bother him with all the variety. He can bring him forward to the net. Rublev not the best volleyer in the forecourt, so I kind of and it's a fast court too, so Evans gets a little bit more out of his serve
yeah.
for his height. But best
Also,
of
I
five.
think yeah,
Maybe I'll still back Rublev. I'm getting him
mm,
to the fourth round, but I'm not super confident. Like
yeah,
Evans is a serious foil, maybe. But it's the other section between Kyrgios and Rune that really fascinates me. Obviously, Kyrgios, he has all these distractions around him, right? With the Netflix documentary,
yeah,
hasn't played also this year apart from that exhibition against Djokovic, and he is. But I think he's healthy and he's going to give it a really good shot. But yeah, potentially also Gasquet in the second round, who he has a 2-6 head to head against. But a lot of those matches were a long time ago.
yeah,
And really, Rune is also a big question mark. Like he comes in as the number 9 seed, but we haven't seen him really play at all since Paris, and that's a
yeah,
long time ago. So, and how will
yeah,
he handle the pressure of being seeded ninth in his first slam as a real contender, or at
yeah.
least one of the second tier contenders?
Yeah, I'm afraid Rune might have like one of those problems of like early seeds as a young player in which you just kind of get caught into a bunch of 5 setters. He got Krajinovic in the first round, which is not a good it's not an easy draw.
That's a tricky first round.
Yeah, so like I could see him if he's too nervous of like struggling a bit like with the pressure and like going 5 sets on this one, which is kind of like a bad. And Ramos Vinolas and Cressy like in the second round is pretty. It could be pretty rough as well. Because well, I guess they're both more experienced players, and Cressy gets this annoying serve and volley game, which could get into Rune's head. He's a very young guy.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest question mark with Rune is like just the mentality, like how will he handle like his temper, you know? I think that's maybe still he's a little bit like hard-headed sometimes, I guess. A little bit. I think Steve Flink called him highly charged, which is a good phrase, I think.
Yeah.
And but his game is very complete, you know. I don't see a lot of holes in his game, like really none.
Yeah,
he's super physically strong. I don't think the cramping is an issue anymore.
Yeah.
And when he's at his best, I mean, you don't just beat 5 top 10 players in a Masters 1000 draw like that. I mean, that's one of the most impressive things I've seen.
And to be fair, like after he's played that match against Djokovic, I wonder what kind of pressure. Like it is a different kind of pressure for sure, but I feel like he had to save so many break points against Djokovic in that final. It was hardly earned. Like the trophy that he got, it wasn't easy. Djokovic certainly didn't give it to him.
Yeah.
So
I'm also to save match points against Stan in the first round. Stan missed like a second sort of block return, and if that goes in play, we wouldn't even be talking about Rune right now.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'll say Rune Kyrgios third round.
Yeah. Well, that would be fireworks.
Yeah. Between them, it's hard to pick.
It is.
I feel like Kyrgios would definitely be like pumped up by the crowd, but he's even more highly charged than Rune, so I feel like it could go the wrong way for him in that sense. That's a tough. I feel like I will have to pick between Kyrgios and Rune to reach the quarters in this section, and I think
because I think either of them, if they play Rublev, I like either of them. So
same. Yeah, I'll say Rublev fourth round versus. I'm gonna put Rune in it. Actually, never mind. I'm gonna put Kyrgios in the quarterfinals.
Okay, good. We have something different. I have Rune in the quarters.
Yeah, it's like I'm in a sense like I felt it that you're gonna pick him, and I was like, my head says Rune is gonna make it, but I feel like Kyrgios was going to do it as well, and also to be different.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean that's it's a pretty hard match to call actually. So
yeah.
Yeah, because I also think Kyrgios is also giving it one last push again and also Australia, like he always at least gets to the third round here.
Yeah, he likes to play there as well. So he normally gets stopped in the third round because he's unseeded. So like
the country puts a lot of pressure on him as well. So it's I mean it's this tournament and Wimbledon that he really gets up for.
Yeah.
And but I mean now we get to Djokovic's section. Pretty friendly couple of rounds. Don't see much of a threat.
Yeah.
Either of them. I think Dimitrov, Karatsev, potential third round, but I think maybe Dimitrov gets there. I think Karatsev is a little too erratic, hard to predict at this point. I feel more comfortable about Dimitrov.
Yeah, me too.
Even though you never know, but I still feel more comfortable with him. I think Diminor and Carreño Busta, if we get that could be really good.
I think that's what we're gonna get. To be fair, I feel like Diminor he's 100% pumped up to play in Australia. So
yeah. And I mean, they played each other, PCB and Diminor in the US Open. They had this amazing match point.
Yeah.
And PCB hit this ridiculous tweener.
Yeah. Although I do feel like Diminor could be upset by either Mannarino or Isner.
Yeah, that could happen. I'm not feeling as confident about Isner because he's come back after a really long layoff. Australia, he doesn't tend to do as well as the other three majors.
Yeah, he doesn't like the surface too fast.
And this is a really good surface for Mannarino. Like very good, perfect for his game.
Yeah, I'm more confident on Mannarino, but I feel like Diminor takes on Carreño Busta, and I think he makes it to the fourth round.
I have him too. I have him beating PCB. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a 50-50, but I think Diminor gets it done with the crowd. I think they play a big factor.
Yeah.
And we get the first ever match between Djokovic and Diminor, and of course I have Djokovic winning that.
Yeah.
So
I could see Dimitrov peaking somehow and like forcing Djokovic into a fourth, maybe fifth, but a fifth set's like it's almost wishful thinking. So I it's a sad reality. Unfortunately, like it's hard to see Djokovic not as the heavy favorite, not only in
Yeah.
this, like, let alone in
They're
the
just
main
lacking
draw,
players in this
just
section
this
who have
section. Yeah,
like any like firepower weapons. I mean, if you put, I mean, like in his quarterfinal, if he plays as Kyrgios or Rune, for example, that'll be
yeah,
his first really big test, I think.
yeah. True. I think so too. I think Djokovic, like, I don't even think he's gonna lose a single set. To be fair, he might lose a set to Dimitrov, but I think he's gonna come through into the quarters like
Yeah.
on
And
like
also we should mention, I mean,
yeah,
Novak is kind of dealing with a little bit of a hamstring niggle,
yeah,
but I think, with his preparation, with how good his team is and how good he is at taking care of his body and the extra days off in between these matches.
yeah.
And so far it hasn't really hindered him. He had to stop his practice early once against Medvedev. And he did actually suffer against Medvedev in Adelaide,
Mm,
but was still able to play a very physical 3 hour, 15-minute final. And, with the recovery and everything, I don't think he's pushing it too hard. And he said he's being cautious in the press conference before this tournament just yesterday. So I think, yeah, I don't see a situation where Djokovic is physically so compromised that he can't get through these
yeah.
4 rounds.
And plus, like I just read today, by the way, that Djokovic winning the title, he becomes number one again. So
Yeah,
it's obviously that like tying
number
Rafa
one
Nadal and
and
becoming
tying.
number
Yeah,
one again, like I think it's too much for Djokovic. First time in Australia since 2020, I think.
yep.
So yeah, that's I don't think he's gonna I think he's gonna push through. I think he's gonna do like a like he did like when he did like with the abdominal tear or Nadal did like in
Yeah, this
RG
can't be
last year.
nearly as bad as that. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
100%. Yeah.
I mean, he had a legit tear in there. That was a serious injury like that one. I mean,
Yeah.
I
So
mean, you could
unless
even see it, even after he injured it in his following matches until the semis. I think by then it was more or less taken care of. But
exactly. So
um,
yeah, I feel like I feel like Djokovic doesn't have anything physically that's going to make him lose
yeah.
early. So
By the
long
way,
as
we
he
should say there's a lot of contenders for number one actually in this tournament
yeah,
because
there's three of them.
yeah, Casper Ruud if he wins.
Yeah.
Uh,
All of them if they win, apparently like on the ATP tour I read that if Casper reaches the final and neither Djokovic or Tsitsipas win the title,
yeah,
he becomes number one.
and then
And
like
if
65
either
if
of
he wins
them
the title.
wins the title, they become number one.
Yeah, and if none of these things happens, then Alcaraz stays number one.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. In a
but
way, I kind of wish Alcaraz remains number one for a bit longer.
yeah,
So
I would too. I mean, he's already like at almost 20 weeks, which is
yeah,
pretty crazy at his age. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
uh, but but I do think there's one guy in here who I feel really good about, and even though he surprisingly lost to Brandon Holt in the first round of the U.S. Open, that's Taylor Fritz.
Yeah,
He just keeps getting better and better and better. I mean, he's improved his game loads in the last year and a half, and just looks the business out there, in those
yeah,
United Cup matches and beating several top 10 players. I mean, his backhand, his forehand, his serve, the movement has improved. The mental game is right there. I mean, he's one of the best in clutch situations as well, winning those tie breaks. He's got a brilliant record in deciding set tie breaks as well. And him and Djokovic was a very good match in the World Tour finals.
yeah,
7-6, 7-6, very, very tight. He served for the second set, had some chances in the first set too, but he didn't really do much wrong. It was just Djokovic being amazing and in lockdown mode mostly. So
yeah,
I think Fritz, he has a very good draw actually. I like
yeah.
his chances to even get to the semis actually. I think I have him in the semis, but
Mm.
uh yeah, and then you have Zverev, number 12 seed. He's coming back from the injury and doesn't look nearly as good, but he's gotten a pretty decent draw. Although I do see Goffin potentially beating him in the second
Yeah.
round. But
Yeah, you keep saying that this is a good draw, but honestly, I see a lot of people here who could be pretty problematic. Like,
for Fritz
for
or for
everybody, like I feel like this entire draw is a bit of an enigma. I'm with you. I
well,
think Fritz.
possibly. I mean, I
I
think
feel like
like
Fritz goes through. Yeah,
Bazilashvili hasn't been in form in
yeah,
forever. I think he might even be outside the top 100.
yeah,
I think Popper and saying like maybe Kecmanovic can trouble him for a set or two.
yeah.
Maybe Shelton, like maybe, but Shelton has no experience yet so far in the majors. He was
Yeah.
amazing in challengers.
Yeah,
Schwartzman has not been
that's
playing well.
definitely a new level for him. So I feel like
Like
he's yeah,
like honestly, I could see like JJ Wolf getting to the fourth round. Like it's not out of the question. I mean,
that's
Schwartzman has
true.
not been playing very well. Thompson
Yeah,
is a very winnable first round, even though Thompson is good in Australia. But
yeah,
Goffin, like I could see one of Goffin,
yeah. It's just
JJ
like
Wolf.
all of these guys, except maybe for Fritz, they're come and go. Like they're hot and cold. And Zverev is coming back from injury.
Yeah.
So Schwartzman hasn't been playing super well lately, and so hasn't Kecmanovic, but they are capable of playing incredible tennis. So
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit of a question mark in terms of like how they're gonna do, but I feel like it could be clear after first day
Yeah.
how easier or harder is Taylor Fritz's path as the top seed in this section of the draw to the fourth round.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly say that Fritz goes through to the
I do too.
quarterfinal, but
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he lost. Like,
yeah,
like even if Zverev got to the fourth round, I don't see Zverev beating Fritz right now. I just don't.
yeah, same. I feel like Zverev might not even have the physical stamina to withstand like five setters at this point.
Not yet.
He
Not
hasn't
yet.
played since Roland Garros. I think he played like exhibitions last year, but like
Yeah.
that's not
When he
nearly
played in
enough.
the United Cup, he lost to Lehechka handily, and he lost to. I mean, Fritz just took him apart like easily.
Yeah,
It was like
exactly. So he
very
needs
straightforward
to.
win. So
Yeah, there's he's a long way back, a long way
yeah,
from his best.
definitely.
So I
But
would
now we
say
get to.
I would
Oh,
say
sorry.
short. I'm gonna pick Schwartzman in the fourth round.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's gonna play Fritz, and Fritz is gonna just beat him in four. I'm gonna say four sets, just because Schwartzman's he's a machine and he battles for forever. So
I will go with JJ Wolf. I like the way he's been playing recently.
that's an interesting pick. I
JJ
wonder how
Wolf.
many ranking points
Uh,
ranking he's gonna jump if he goes to the fourth round in Australia.
I think maybe he could get into the top 50. I
Yeah,
mean, if I'm not mistaken, he made a final last year and he lost to
he lost.
Felix
Yeah, he did. I
in
think
one
it
of the
was
quarterfinals.
Florence.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen him play a few times. He's got the physicality for sure, and
Yeah,
it's mostly also just like Schwartzman. I don't have a lot of faith in, and Goffin is not Goffin of 3 or 4 years ago, and then Zverev is coming back, so it's more just
yeah.
yeah,
It's a tough pick, honestly. But I feel like Zverev doesn't get to the third round, honestly.
I don't see it. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah. So I have Fritz coming through. I have Fritz beating Wolf in the fourth round. I have him beating. I mean, you'll probably have him beating Schwartzman, right? And then we get to the other section, which is yeah. I mean, unfortunate again for Murray.
Yeah,
Plays such a good player in majors in the first round again. Um, but this is going to be a really fun match to watch. That's what I'll say. I think it won't be straight sets. I think he'll get at least a set.
yeah,
But it's difficult for me to ignore just that Berrettini is a favorite, unfortunately, for this one for
yeah,
Andy Murray fans, for Murray musings
yeah,
mostly, and of course many others.
yeah,
But
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Murray's gonna make this into a five setter.
I would love it. I would love that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think Murray. I'm gonna say Murray comes through in five.
oh wow! So
Yeah,
you're picking Berrettini first round upset?
yeah. I'm picking
Oh,
Murray to upset Berrettini. I think Murray isn't
I
done
like
yet.
it. It's just that yeah, Berrettini has been so good at getting to the quarters in these majors. I mean, he's
That is
the
true.
last five that he's played, he's made the quarters or better.
Yeah,
That includes a Wimbledon final and an Australian Open semi.
yeah.
So yeah,
I'm gonna
he's
say
very
yeah.
good at beating the players he's supposed to beat. Like that's his
That's true. Yeah,
thing. And best of five, he steps up. Yeah, I mean, he just has those non-negotiable weapons with the serve and the forehand. It's just so hard to get that return on his backhand side.
yeah,
I mean, Murray is one of the few players that he could do it. In his prime, this match would be like no question Andy's winning this in his prime. But
yeah,
it's just that yeah, Murray's just lost that full step now since
yeah,
his injuries. So
yeah. Berrettini is like a good spaghetti with tomato sauce. It's like it's no one's favorite dish, but you can never go wrong with it. So
that's gonna be
yeah,
take an audio snippet of that and put it on our social media right there.
yeah.
That line.
A true Italian.
Oh yeah, that's a really good line. That's awesome, dude.
Thank you, thank you.
But Berrettini against Kokkinakis, maybe that could be like Berrettini doesn't have a super easy path. I mean, Bautista
No, yeah,
is very good in January and February especially. Although he's kind of declining a little bit, but he's still somewhat of a factor on tour. So still a top 30 player. Bublik and Fokina, that's a very good first round. Same with Struff and Paul. Honestly, all of these are very good first round matches, like for first round.
yeah,
Casper Ruud, I'm very interested in. He didn't play the Australian Open last year. He
yeah,
lost to Berrettini in the United Cup and lost early this week also. A little bit surprising, but also maybe a good thing that he lost early.
yeah.
Uh,
So do you think Brooksby could beat Casper Ruud in the second round?
I hovered over it. First of all, he has to get through O'Connell, who I watched beat him at the San Diego Open, and had match points there. And O'Connell last year was very good at the Australian Open. He beat
True.
Schwartzman, and he got to the third round. He's kind of tricky. Good game to watch. I like his
Hmm.
topspin one-hander, but he also has a big serve and big forehand.
Yeah. I have a feeling.
Brooksby,
Yeah.
I have a feeling Brooksby will still get through it,
Yeah.
and he'll get to the second round, and he can bother Ruud for a set or two. But I just don't think maybe he has enough weapons. Like Ruud's forehand is eventually going to take over.
True.
His serve is not something that can give him a lot of free points at this
Yeah.
moment for Brooksby. And that awkward game style and all of that, Casper should be used to that because he already played Brooksby last year and beat him.
Yeah.
Even though it was on clay, but
Yeah.
Ruud has improved his game a lot on hard court. So
Yeah.
I think it could be tricky maybe for a set. Maybe Brooksby wins a set, but I think Ruud comes through.
Yeah. In
The
the
real
way.
test for Ruud, I think, is going to be like a Tommy Paul or a Fokina, who's beaten him at Roland Garros before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm gonna say Ruud. Gosh, after I picked Murray to beat Berrettini, I have nobody to pick to reach the fourth round. So I'll say Bautista Agut makes it
okay.
to the fourth round, and Ruud beats him kind of handily. It's like a 3 sets.
Yeah, interesting. I still have Berrettini and Ruud getting there, but I just don't know who's going to win that match because they just keep
Yeah.
like that. At the US Open, I was expecting a very close match. Berrettini was coming in as a favorite, and he just did not play well at all. It was one of the first times
Yeah.
in a major against a non-Nadal Djokovic player, but he just didn't play well.
I feel like Ruud also played a phenomenal match. Like I haven't
Oh,
seen
he was
Ruud
outstanding. I mean,
playing
don't
like
get me wrong.
that good in forever.
He was really, really good. Like he was
Yeah.
finding Berrettini's backhand
And his backhand
very
was
regularly, and
ridiculous. I like his
yeah,
level dropped a bit, and like his backhand wasn't that good towards the end of it, but for most of it, Ruud's backhand
yeah.
was
And
impenetrable. Like Ruud was
I
just
worry a little bit about
great. Yeah,
Berrettini
yeah,
physically. Like he gets so many niggles and injuries, and even
that's
in the
true.
middle of matches, just with his physique, and he's also defending semifinal points, so he could slip down even further in the rankings. And he already missed two majors last year.
Yeah,
And Ruud is just much more physical, and just when he's hitting his backhand better, there's no question it's better than Berrettini's.
100%.
Just a
Yeah,
matter of can he find that in that inside out cross court, inside
yeah,
in? Can he avoid that pattern
yeah,
that Berrettini is so good at? But
yeah,
Ruud is, I mean, his backhand has improved loads on hard court. He's taking it a lot earlier, a lot flatter.
yeah,
But I also thought I watched the United Cup match. Even though it's best of three, I just thought Ruud was not having a good backhand day that day, and Berrettini was. So, but we'll
hmm,
see. It's a very interesting matchup because they both have one super strong
yeah,
side and one weaker side.
yeah. I do think that Berrettini has a bit of the advantage that his slice backhand is really good.
Yeah, he
So
does a good job setting up
yeah,
his.
but I don't think it's enough to like break Ruud. Also, Ruud also made a like great improvements in his backhand. So he changed
Yeah,
a bit on his motion. So it might be one of the reasons why he wasn't super sharp. But I think
he made a technical change and he made it very quickly.
yeah,
And I also think he defends better off the
yeah,
backhand now. I don't think
same
the
here.
pace
Yeah,
bothers
he
him.
just
Bothers
defends
him.
better in general than Berrettini.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and to be fair, like he does now, he's not doing it like he used to just rack up 250s, but he hasn't won one since Geneva, and
yeah,
he's been getting to more bigger finals, and he's kind of been pacing himself for the big events. So if Ruud and Berrettini do play, I'm gonna stick with Ruud.
yeah. Me
I
too.
just think, yeah, he's just so darn reliable right now
Yeah,
in big events at least.
yeah. I
So
will. I will pick. I will still pick Murray for the upset, and I think Murray's gonna lose to, and that's that's a long way, but like I feel like I say Murray loses to Bautista Agut in the third round.
so you think he beats Berrettini and Kokkinakis?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you tell him that before the tournament, that's a pretty good run for him actually.
Yeah,
Considering.
yeah,
So
he'd be pretty happy about that. So
yeah, I think so. Unless he just plays a very bad match in the third round, but yeah.
yeah,
But in any case, yeah, Fritz against Ruud. Gosh, I mean, if Fritz plays Berrettini, I like his chances a lot.
yeah,
I just think in the baseline rally, he's a lot more solid backhand to backhand. And if he plays Ruud, it's going to be a little more complicated. I
yeah.
definitely think, you know what? I'm picking Fritz. I just think
Fritz,
he's
yeah,
ready. Like he's
yeah,
just he's primed for a big run now in a major. Like that's the only thing missing now. He's won. What makes me just convinced about Fritz every time now these days is just that self belief that he has, and he also has Paul Anicone on his team, Mike Russell. He's improved his. I mean, every single short ball that he has now on his forehand, he just ends the rally. Like it's scary how good it's gotten now.
Yeah.
And how good he is in the clutch moments.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ruud in 5, and then Djokovic in 4 into the final.
So I mean, so those are our semis and quarters. I guess okay, yes, to be clear, so my semis again are. Oh wait, actually, did I say? Yeah, I said Tsitsipas is getting good. So I have Djokovic against Fritz. That's my first semi.
Yeah. Did I say FAA in the semis?
You did, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's what.
You have to say who's going to win between Nadal and Medvedev.
I would say I'm gonna pick Nadal to win. We're gonna have like a Djokovic Nadal final.
Interesting, yeah.
This is the boring pick, but also the really good pick because who doesn't like a big 3 shootout? Yeah. So,
I have some question marks about Nadal even getting there.
I want to pick FAA, but I think Nadal is gonna do it.
And I picked Nori instead of FAE. And if Medvedev does beat Nadal, he has to do it in 3 or 4. Like if it, the longer the match goes, I still think Nadal has the advantage, even though he's much older.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, Medvedev is. You know what? I'll pick Medvedev to beat Nadal. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll say Medvedev beats Nadal. I'll say Tsitsipas beats Nori. So we have a Tsitsipas Medvedev semi, and we have a Djokovic Fritz semi. I picked Djokovic to get to the final, although I wouldn't be surprised if that's a close match, him and Fritz. Maybe 4 or 5, but Djokovic comes through. Tsitsipas and Medvedev is very interesting to me. They've met in the last 2 Australian Open semis, but Tsitsipas has now won 4 of their last 6 matches. He started serving and volleying a lot against him. He's changed a lot of his tactics, using the backhand slice a lot better. Just isn't as intimidated anymore by Daniil. And Medvedev has some adjustments he has to make. And Stefanos, and him played a very close match last year for 3 sets until the 4th, where Medvedev just ran away with it. But I think this time I'm liking Tsitsipas. I think so. I think I have a Tsitsipas-Djokovic final, and I have Djokovic winning that.
Yeah.
In 3 or 4 sets. I wouldn't be surprised if it's straight.
Yeah.
So
I feel like if Djokovic gets to the final, he wins.
Yeah, I think semis or finals. He's never lost before in Australia. He's 18-0 after the semis. So I say he goes 20-0.
Yeah.
And Steph gets to his second major final, but first at the Australian Open.
All right. So we got a winner.
Watch Steph lose to Hallis in the first round, and then all this was kaput. But
there's a lot of first rounds there are going to clear a lot of questions, I would say. But we'll see
so
how
you have Djokovic and Nadal, right? So you have Nadal beating Medvedev.
Yeah.
And then
Nadal beating
Felix.
FAA. Nadal beating Felix. Was it Medvedev? No, it was Felix.
Tony again in the box.
Yeah.
But so you have Nadal beating FAA, and then you have Djokovic beating Ruud, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Beating Ruud I think it's going to be straight sets in the final as well.
Yeah. And then so you have Djokovic beating Nadal in straights in the final.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think I'd love to see Nadal Djokovic on a hard court, especially since it's been a long time since that's happened. Since 2020 ATP Cup.
Yeah.
They keep meeting at the French Open every year, so it's.
Yeah. It might happen this year again. Who knows? If there's a chance actually that they might have to meet in the final if they are to meet again in the Roland Garros this year.
Yeah. I think they're also both playing Dubai. So
yeah,
we could see another match there if they play on a fast court, just like this one. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting tournament either way. I'm glad a lot of our picks are differing.
Yeah.
That makes it so much fun.
Yeah, although both of us did pick Djokovic to win, but I mean,
aside from that.
It's kind of an obvious pick though. Like
Yeah.
if we're going really like head, otherwise I would have picked like FAA against Djokovic or FAA against Fritz in the final, and then FAA wins the Australian Open. Which would be insane, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like those. Those are all really good picks. Like I could see them all happening.
Yeah. What about the Murray Berrettini one?
Not that one as much.
Okay.
But you know, you never know. Like,
yeah.
what if Berrettini is a little bit hurt? What if Murray is just playing the match of his life, and he wins a tiebreak or two?
Yeah.
It's kind of like thin margins. Like even at the U.S. Open when they played, like Murray was up a break in the fourth, and he just like didn't hold on to it, and he'd won the third. So
yeah.
That's maybe your boldest prediction, I would say. Of this.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah, Murray getting into the third round, losing to RBA.
Mm-hmm.
That I will see how that one goes. Like everything might crumble in the first day. So, yeah. And that was it. That was the ATP. Well, rather the men's draw at the Australian Open with the ATP players. Draw starts today. It's Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, January 14. Tomorrow on Sunday, in the Americas.
7 p.m. EST is the
7 p.m. EST, the Australian Open starts. Are they opening with Nadal? Who's the opening match?
No, the opening match on Rod Laver Arena is Coco Gauff against Katerina Siniakova. Then Nadal is the third match on Rod Laver. So if you want to watch Nadal Draper, that'll probably be at 10:30 p.m. EST.
Cool. And I know we already did like the WTA one, but Gauff Siniakova should be an interesting one, though I do not see Gauff losing that one. So
actually, before we end this, who is your pick for the WTA?
Oh, cool.
Like, who's your winner? You can give me a final as well if you want.
I'll say I don't even know who's in the. Is Sabalenka Swiatek a possibility for the final?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's my final, and I say Sabalenka wins that one.
I have the exact same final and the exact same winner.
No way. That was not planned.
I went more chalky. I went more chalky on the women's side this time than I mostly normally do. But I also think in general, seeds do very well at the Australian Open compared to the other four.
Yeah.
The other three, I should say. But yeah, going to be very interesting on both sides.
Yeah. To it. Okay, so that concludes this episode. And again, thanks for listening. You can follow us at Tennis and Bagels. Vansh, actually at Tennis and Bagels official, I believe that's our new handle. Vansh is at VanshV2K, and I am at Rolenberg. Andre Owen, who is in Australia to enjoy the Australian Open.
So jealous.
Same, 100% jealous. I'm here and it's like -10 outside or something like that. Exactly -10 outside in Montreal. So Owen is enjoying the summer and the tennis. And you can follow him at Tennis Nation. He's going to be posting tons of updates. Totally. That's his thing. And thanks for listening. Thanks much for the good discussions again. And let's see how we do this year with the predictions.
Yeah, let's see. No matter how we do, I know it's gonna be awesome, and we'll have a lot to talk about. But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so thanks again, y'all. Have a great Australian Open. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.